We have your weekend Apple news. Welcome back to the channel and happy October. So what do we have today? You know, we have the Apple news. I'm going to go through about 20 or 25 different Apple related news stories that are in the news, and then also some Apple sales that are out there. What's on sale right now with Apple? So sit back and relax, and without further ado, let's get in to the Apple news. All right, story number one, we're all waiting for the M4 Macs to ship, hopefully later this year. But take a look. Best Buy's got a good sale going on right now. This is from Mac Rumors. Best Buy introduces massive discounts on M3 MacBook Pro. Members get up to $700 off. So it basically goes on to say that Best Buy Plus and Total members can get an extra $200 off on select notebooks this week. So if you're looking for the M3 Macs, like the 14-inch or the 16-inch, they have some good sales going on. They got the 8 gigabyte, 1 terabyte, 14-inch M3 for $12.99 with the terabyte. That's pretty great, crazy, obviously. Then they got the 16 gigabyte, 1 terabyte model for $14.99. Then down here, you can see it's actually the one that's $700 off is the 48 gigabyte, 1 terabyte M3 16-inch, usually $39.99, now $32.99. So you can see $700 off right there. So if you actually go back up to Best Buy over here, we'll see right in here, this is what you need to do. Here's the you have to become a member. This middle version, this little yellow version, it's $50 a year. You can see it right there. If you scroll down, this is basically what it is right here. And what you get, you spend $50, but then you save an extra $200 during this sale. Not bad at all. And it gives you kind of free shipping in here. Also a 60-day return window, which is key. And you can cancel it after the first year. And then you're basically saving that $150. Figured I'd just show people, if you're thinking about the M3, you don't need the M4, definitely check out Best Buy right now. They have some good sales. Okay, so if you are actually waiting for the M4 chips to come out, you might be getting a little bit nervous and maybe biting your nails. I don't think you should be. Take a look at the article. Mac Rumors says Apple supply chain gears up for MacBook Pro models with M4 chips. It says Apple supply chain is gearing up for the new MacBook Pro models with the M4 chips, which are expected to be announced this month. Apple is expected to unveil the new MacBook Pro models equipped with the M4 chip in October, right here. So a lot of these articles are still saying this. We got kind of worried because they just launched the iPad mini with just like a notification, basically no event or anything like that. So people are like, what's going on? We thought that was going to be included in this event. We think Apple's going to do the event because it's going to be some new design. They're going to design the Mac Mini, actually. Full redesign. It's going to be really cool. So Apple always usually does an event whenever they have kind of a complete redesign. So we still think it's coming. We think the announcement will be like Monday or Tuesday of this next week. It should be like around, the last day of this month or even November 1st. So don't get worried yet. If we go on another 2 weeks without any notifications, start to get worried. But right now, I think we're okay. Okay, so on this channel, we always talk about the 5K displays, and we always say, why don't other players get involved and create more 5K screens? We got the Studio display, we got the Viewfinity S9. Finally, someone has jumped into the ring also, so we got another choice coming up. Here it is from BenQ, 9 to 5 Mac here. BenQ takes Apple Studio display with 5K 27-inch monitor and nano texture-like option. So BenQ basically is creating this monitor. If you scroll down, it's called the BenQ 5K PD 2730S right here. And I'll get into the specs in a second. But basically, it goes on to say that it's going to be using a nano matte panel, so enhanced with anti-glare and low reflection textures. So it's not going to be a glass panel, but it's going to be this nano. It's kind of in between a glass and just a pure matte panel. So they're actually jumping into the 5K realm here. So if I go over to the next little page here, you can see on their actual website here, I'm going to close a couple of these things here. It says right here, PD 2730S. It's a 5K 2001 contrast ratio, 98p3 Thunderbolt 4 design monitor. So you can see some of the specs in here. 2001 contrast, 98% P3, factory calibrated. Now this is the key thing with BenQ. I've done a lot of the BenQ monitors. They're factory calibrated on colors to match the Mac exactly right out of the box. So they're perfect for that. It's a huge advantage. Thunderbolt 4 with 90 watt power delivery also. Now you can see it says, if you scroll on here, it says notify me. So it has not come out yet, obviously. If you click, let me just click on a couple of these pictures actually. See if I can get in here and see some of these designs here. So here's what it looks like right here. You can see it. Looks like it's going to have the dial. Looks pretty attractive. It's got like kind of white and silver background back there. You can see all the different ports here, HDMI, DPI, Thunderbolt 4, USB-C, USB-C, USB-A, a ton of different ports in there. Take a look at that. And it's going to be able to flip up like that. I guess your studio display can't do that. and it's going to have a stand that can adjust every different direction. So I'll have some links to this if you want to check it out. You can go in here. Let me just shut this down. And they do have some specs in here, a specs page in here as well. Now, the only problem with this thing, it's an IPS panel as well, 5120 by 2880. But the only a couple of negatives here, I think, is 400 nits of brightness. That's going to be kind of a negative, I guess. It's not even 500. And then also 60 hertz. But the studio displays 60 hertz. For some reason, they can't really make yet a really good, 120 hertz 5K monitor for some reason. So it's going to have those limitations. So this is all going to come down to cost because we don't know the cost yet. But I just wanted to let people know this is available. Keep an eye on it, and we'll cover it extensively. And I might even pick one up if the cost is right, or maybe they'll send one for me for a review, and I can review it for all of you. So, anyways, I'll keep an eye on this, and just wanted to get it out there. Okay, so the iPad Mini 7th Gen just came out. We've been talking about it. I did a video. Check out my video from, I think, a couple days ago. A big thing, right? People are talking, they either love it or they hate it. If you're thinking about getting it, and you have, let's say you have an iPad Mini 6, and you just bought one, or you bought one maybe a year or two ago, definitely Best Buy again. I don't know why they keep popping up here, but take a look at this. Apple Insider says, Best Buy urges you to upgrade to the iPad Mini 7 with the 6th Gen trade-in value up to $350. So if you scroll on here, it says the sweet spot is a $350 value for the 256 iPad Mini 6 with Wi-Fi, which is $120 more than Apple's $230 trade-in incentive. So they're going to give you $120 more than Apple. So if you actually have that specific model, they're going to give you $350 for it, which you can put obviously towards the new 7 version. And it's a good trade-in right now. So Best Buy's got a really good trade-on. So, I mean, that's the only one model in particular. Maybe you don't have the Wi-Fi model. Maybe you have a lower model. Go into Best Buy and check out. But they're going to have some strong, trade-in values. I think it's a lot stronger than Apple's offering right now for all it's worth. So if you're kind of on the edge, maybe you'll get enough money. It'll kind of push you to get the new 7. And then one thing to talk about on the 7th Gen iPad Mini is something that gets me a little bit upset. It's not so much at the device, but it's just Apple in general. Why is Apple doing this? So here we go. This is from Mac Rumors. It says, here's when to expect the Apple Intelligence to launch on the new iPad Mini. Just like the iPhone 16, the new iPad Mini is likely to launch without Apple Intelligence. You can see it right here. So if you kind of scroll down here, Geekbench results for the iPad Mini with the A17 chip list the device running 18.0, iPad OS 18.0 instead of 18.1. So it looks like this is going to ship with 18.0 and not 18.1. And it looks like these are coming out on the 23rd. And then down here it says on the 28th down here, it looks like that's when they're going to basically push 18.1. So for some reason, they have like a 5 or 6 day gap when people are going to be getting these things, and it's going to have no Apple Intelligence, only 18.0, and then they're going to be waiting for 18.1. You would think they would have, why would they come out why wouldn't they just wait a week and just push this next week so it would come out with it? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This is just unusual. Apple used to never do this kind of stuff. They did stuff weird in the past, but not like this. So I'm not sure what they're thinking here. They could have just waited one more week and then pushed it. I think maybe there's a reason why they did, because I'm going to show you another product by Amazon coming out later in the later in this show, but still, it's odd to me. And then on top of all that, there's one weird thing I think a lot of people missed here. I kind of covered it briefly, but here's Mac Rumors. It says iPad Mini 7 benchmarks confirm 8 gigs of RAM, which we thought, but a 5-core GPU slower speed. So I remember I had said in my previous video that the iPhone 15 Pro had 6 cores of GPU, and they kind of binned this chip down to 5 for the GPU, which is weird. So if you scroll down, and this is a little chart here, you can see the iPad Mini 6 here. You can see here's a single core score, and here's a multi-core score over here. And take a look. You can see that obviously here's a 7, here's a 6. So it went up quite a bit on single core, it went up quite a bit on on multi-core. Not a problem at all. You can see that it actually went up on metal. But here's the iPhone 15 Pro right here. And you can see that this Mini 7 is slightly below right here, slightly below the i15 Pro. And even on graphics, you can see it's like 2,000 less. But here it's, a little bit less, and here it's a little bit less. So the Mini 7 is not as fast as the iPhone 15 Pro. It's supposedly using the same chip, right? The 17 Pro chip. So why did Apple bin it down? We just don't know. Maybe that chip, maybe they were going to bin it on the iPhone for something, and they decided not to, and they have these extra chips laying around. I have no idea, but take a look at that chart, and it just does not make a lot of sense to me. You tell me if it makes a lot of sense to you, but overall, it's a bigger device. You can probably do a little bit more stuff with it, but they're kind of binning it down just a touch. It's not going to be huge, but it's enough just to make it kind of upset. Now, we've talked about the iPad Mini quite a bit over the last week and stuff, but what about the normal iPad, just the normal one, right? We're on the 10th gen. We're waiting for the 11th gen. I think we have some bad news, actually. Mac Rumors. iPad 11 now seems unlikely to launch this year. Given the events, it now seems unlikely that Apple will update its entry-level iPad. And there's a couple of hints to this. So if we scroll down here, it says, first and foremost, Apple lowered the price of the iPad 10 and stopped including a charger with the device in Europe this week. And there's a low chance that Apple would have proceeded with those changes if the iPad 11 was coming out. That's kind of weird. Why would they change that other product if this other one was coming out? That makes no sense. Second, Apple's announcement of the new iPad mini as a standalone press release basically suggests that the 11 is not coming out either. Because why would they put the 11th in with the M4 Max and then leave it, not kind of launch it with this product right here, the mini? It makes no sense to us. So they're unfortunately thinking that they're going to be pushing this back to 2025 now, hopefully the beginning of the year. But these are all rumors, like I said. We're just kind of reporting all the rumors out there. So it's unknown at this time. But if you were waiting for it to launch later this month, you might just possibly be out of luck. Okay, so we have a couple sales here. Now, this is just something. Let's say you need a travel laptop. Let's say you're traveling. You don't want someone to steal your like $2,000 or $3,000 laptop. I recommend this. Take a look. Here's on Amazon. I'll have a link to this in the description. But this is the M1 just base model, 8 gigs, 256. It's $589 on Amazon. Now it is, I've talked about this before, it's renewed here. It's on the Amazon renewed, but it's actually renewed premium. See that? And what does that mean? So $589. The reason I recommend this is if you go into like everyone loves it down here, but if you start clicking on the pictures, you'll see that it comes in basically like the Apple refurbished box, just like this. So they're shipping you, I mean, it's going to be like a new system from Apple. Somehow Amazon's got this deal kind of with Apple where they're getting these kind of brand new or not. I don't know if they're brand new or not, but they're refurbished units. It looks like directly from Apple, and they're coming in the boxes and everything. So everybody likes them. They're all saying that they're like brand new. So $589 now for that. So I recommend this is a great deal if you're going to be traveling and you just don't want to take a really expensive device with you, because even though it's the M1, it's still going to be a great device for the $589. Probably the best laptop of all time for that cost. And then another option with the renewed premium here, it's not as good of a deal, but this is the M2 now, 13-inch base model for $764. I think that's around the lowest we've seen. At least it's the lowest right now. Again, renewed premium. So, you know, obviously, are you taking a chance? Well, you look at the reviews. You can always return them. But when we go all the way down, let me just see if I can get down there. You know, we look in here again, and we're going to see that people just say, you know, basically brand new. And if you kind of scroll, here's the box again. You can see it around there. So they're shipping it in that kind of refurbished box where it's flawless, basically. So I think they're coming directly from Apple, and they're just trying to get rid of old stock this way on Amazon. So for all it's worth, these are two good pickups if you want to go the bare minimum and don't want to spend a lot of money, but you still want to be in the Apple ecosystem. Okay, I thought this next one was just kind of a cool learning thing here because, I mean, I didn't even know about this, to tell you the truth. Right here from Apple Insider, it says, how to use the Finder Erase Disk command in macOS Sequoia. So there used to be this kind of erase disk command way back in older macOS, and then they got rid of it. It's kind of dangerous, actually, if you think about it. But let me just kind of go in here. So let me actually shut this down. Now over here, so I have over here I have a disk drive. So if on your desktop, if you have a disk drive, like an external drive, or even your internal drive, your main drive showing up here on your desktop, now if you right-click on it like this, you can actually go in and there's an option here to erase disk. See it right there? I'm going to click on it, but I'm not going to do it. If you do this now, it's going to give you an option right here where you can actually go, you can just name it and then you can format it instantly to APFS, macOS, exFAT, and Mac MS-DOS FAT. And you can do it instantly. So you don't have to go into disk utility anymore. You can do it from here. And if it was like made as an APFS, usually Apple would make you kind of reformat it that way. But now you can reformat it as exFAT instead or something different, depending on how you have it formatted. So overall, this is actually kind of it's a quicker way to do it. And they're even saying in the article that it seems like it formats everything way quicker, maybe because of this new process they're using or something. I don't know if that's true. But overall, I just thought it was cool, and that's what that's for. And it came back after a long time. And I just think it's kind of another feature you should know about. Okay, this next story is kind of a cool story. You probably heard about this before, but still, here's Apple Insider. It says Apple Watch Vitals app can predict when you're going to be sick days in advance of you knowing, basically. So if you scroll on here, it says Apple Watch owners are praising the capability to spot when a user will get sick thanks to the Vitals app. So long story short, let me just kind of go down here. Let me just see if I can find this. Let me just see here. It says right here, the Vitals app is designed to collect and analyze basically a whole bunch of data points as the user sleeps. These include sleep data, the heart rate, the respiratory rate, blood oxygen level, skin temperature. In cases when multiple data points are away from the user's normal levels by too much, they are considered outliers. See that? So what happens is Apple comes back and says you have a bunch of outliers happening, and people are like, well, I feel fine. And then 2 or 3 days later, they get sick. So I guess if you have a lot of outliers and using the Vitals app, this is what's kind of predicting you getting sick before you even know it. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of different people in here talking about it, but overall, I've heard it like on different shows and stuff. So I think it's actually something we should look at, because if this is true, this could be really cool for a lot of things, obviously, and it's going to give you kind of a heads up, and maybe you can actually start defending against it quicker than before. Once you're sick, right? But if you can start taking a lot of vitamins and getting more sleep and taking more fluids, it might help you. So overall, I thought it was a cool article by Apple Insider. All right, so if you're thinking about a cool place, if let's say you're a technician, but you want a nice, calm place to live in the United States, very cheap and stuff like that to live there, but there's going to be some good jobs. Take a look here, Apple Insider. 7 years later, Apple data center in Iowa finally opens. So if you scroll down here, it says it began in 2017. Apple's $1.3 billion data center in Waukee, Iowa, has just basically opened. And at least partially, it says. So long story short, this has been taking a number of years to get done, but it finally opened over here. And it says, let me just see in here. It says the one building is located on 2,000 acres of land at the intersection. Who cares about that? But under the terms in the deal with the city, Waukee receives around $500,000 per year per building, and has so far made $1.5 million. It says, at various points, Apple has been said to be planning either 2 data centers or up to 7 in this location. And, obviously for this Waukee, it's going to be a huge amount of revenue coming in, and a ton of tech jobs and stuff like that as well. So this is like in the middle of nowhere. So obviously if you're looking for that place, maybe that you're, a technician, but you want to live somewhere out in the quiet areas out there in Iowa, this might be a good option for you. Waukee, Iowa. Okay, so this next one, remember I talked about basically why did Apple not just wait a week to launch, the mini for the iPad and stuff, because obviously now that the OS would have been updated. Well, maybe this is why. So Mac rumors, Amazon launches the first Kindle with color display. Maybe they were just pressured by doing it. Amazon today refreshed the popular Kindle e-reader lineup, introducing the first Kindle that has a color display. It's $279. Kindle ColorSoft has a 7-inch high contrast display that Amazon says offers paper-like color, and you can see it in here. So it's basically like these e-ink stuff where you can read books and stuff on Kindle for $279. If you go to Amazon, it says Amazon's first color Kindle has arrived, and you can see some other examples in here. You can color coordinate what you're reading and stuff, but it's got that same experience as the original Kindle, where it's really easy on your eyes. And I mean, beyond that, obviously you get in here, you can see it's really made for reading books and what people use Kindles for, right? It's not a direct competitor with an iPad directly, obviously, especially for the ecosystem and everything else. But maybe Apple felt a little pressure because this is coming out. I don't know. Overall, though, I just wanted to kind of let you know it's another option there if you're a big reader and you want to spend less than $300. All right, this next article was just a little concerning maybe, but knowing America, they probably won't do anything about this. So here it is, 9 to 5 Mac. It says TSMC may have breached U.S. sanctions. Apple chip production could be at risk. So what the article goes on to say is the U.S. Department is carrying out an investigation into whether Apple chip maker TSMC breached the U.S. sanctions against China by supplying the smartphone Huawei. So basically, we kind of ban Huawei stuff in America. There was a company that was working for Huawei, and they actually went through TSMC to kind of get chips for their devices, and it's kind of it looks like it's a breach of the contract, and also the U.S. Department, their laws and rules, I guess. So just like what we did to Huawei, now we may have to do to TSMC. But they're just too important, right? So I don't think they'll do this. That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about it, but it looks like an investigation has been started. And what they're saying is, the worst case scenario is they would have to halt chip production and we wouldn't be able to buy from them any longer. So I know with all the money involved with Apple and everybody else, this is not going to happen. But I thought it was an interesting article just to keep a note on and just see what happens. Okay, so the next one is about the iPhone SE coming out, I think, around the beginning of next year. Here it is from 9 to 5 Mac. It says iPhone SE isn't known for a new tech, but one cutting-edge upgrade is coming. So I was really excited about this phone, and I still am. And, it's one of those things where you just never know what you're going to get until it arrives. We'll see what all the specs are and stuff. But what it basically says in here is the new iPhone SE includes Apple's in-house 5G chip. You can see it right here. So according to this is going to be the first test product because it's a low production type product. They're going to put the brand new modem that Apple produces in here, getting rid of Qualcomm's modem. So they're going to have the 5G chip in there, including, I think they're going to incorporate a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth into the same chip. And they're saying it could either be groundbreaking or it could go through some testing troubles. So here we go again. So you're going to get this brand new iPhone SE, it looks like. It could be one of the best kind of budget phones out there. But then we're going to have to worry about this. So we'll have to, hopefully this will work really well. It's going to be Apple's first kind of test of this before it goes into the main production, like the iPhone, the normal iPhone and the Pro models as well. So for all it's worth, you may want to wait a little while before you buy it. When this comes out, if it does have the new modem in it, just so you can test things out and see if there's any issues before you buy it. As part of this channel, I always ask people to post to tell me what your experience has been, just to see if we can kind of reproduce some of these claims here. So this is Mac Rumors. It says iPhone 16 users complain about excessive iOS 18 battery drain. So when we scroll down here, it says some iPhone 16 and 16 Pro users have been experiencing excessive and unexplainable battery drain. So has anybody experienced this, all right? If we go down, basically, all these different little comments. Yes, I own the 16 Pro and the battery life goes down almost 60% from 100 halfway throughout the day. And we kind of keep going here. Clearly something isn't right with Apple's end. The idle battery drain is excessive. This morning I unplugged the phone at 9 a.m. and it held 95% charging. Only 20 minutes before starting to drop rapidly. Every 5 minutes I lost a percentage. So basically people are reporting that, on these new 16 models, the battery has a problem. Now they're saying it's not universal. It's certain people are saying it, certain people aren't on Reddit. But it's a lot more than usual. So just curious again, as a community, since we all love Apple here, post in the comments. Has this happened to you? Have you guys noticed this is worse than the 15 or the 14? I'm just curious. Post in the comments. Okay, so if you're a gamer with Apple, over the history of Apple, it's had some problems with gaming, right? But they're doing things to make it better. More games are coming out. They're getting better graphics. Things are starting to come together. So here we go, Apple Insider. So here it is. Dungeon Brawler Hades 2 now supports Apple Silicon. So it says Supergiant Games has brought the sequel to its underworld brawler, Hades 2, to macOS, with its now natively supporting Apple Silicon hardware right here. So you need like an M1, M2, M3, or M4, but now it's supporting Apple Silicon directly. And just kind of quickly here, I'll go over here. So here's a Steam. You can go to Steam here, and I'll show this game, but this is kind of a game it is in here. You can see it. It's one of those kind of, I don't know what they call it, where you run around and kill different things and have, large groups of people, cast spells on people. That kind of a game there called Hades 2 here. So this game, I think the original Hades came out in 2020. This one just came out, I think, just now for the Mac right now. And but a lot of people love it. It's got a lot of good reviews and stuff like that. And obviously down at the bottom down here, it says Mac OS here, and you click on this and it says Mac OS 12 or newer, and it requires an M1 chip with 8 gigs of RAM. 10 gigabytes available space. So there you go. So what I'm getting at is more games are starting to come out. Here's one I wanted to show you that's going to be available now. So I think it's slowly getting a little bit better. This one's going to be actually running not just on, it's going to be running natively basically. And that's actually, the developers actually transitioned it over to that. So I think we're moving in the right direction here. You guys tell me of any other new games you guys that know have come out recently. And we can maybe I'll make a video on all the new games that are coming out so people know what's out there. I'm not a huge gamer, but it's always good news. Okay, the next one's kind of interesting, just an interesting article. Mac Rumors, it says, surgeries at UCSD find Apple Vision Pro promising for minimally invasive surgery. So they have some people down here working, you can see them here working with the glasses. Surgeons at the University of California, San Diego have been testing, this is my problem here, the Apple Vision Pro for surgeries, and have performed more than 20. So what it goes on to say is, first of all, testing. Second of all, who wants to be the person that's being tested on, right? How do you get into that? I have no idea how they picked that. Or do you just wake up and they have the goggles on and you have no idea that it happened? I don't know. Do you guys know? Anyways, that's the first thing. The second thing is they're saying it's better than, they put cameras in sometimes the person's body and they got to look usually at monitors, right? And then they look back and they do the work and but they're saying that they look through the glasses now and they can see, obviously the camera and work at the same time. But I put those things on before, and your vision through them are not as good as your normal eyes. So again, you're looking at the person and you're looking at the screen, but when you look at the person, it's passing through and it's a little bit grainy, right? So are they going to miss things? I don't know. This is why the testing needs to be done, but who are they testing it on? All right, I thought this next one was kind of funny, just something to throw in there. From 9 to 5 Mac, it says you can now order Chick-fil-A using your CarPlay. You can see the screen right here. For months, Chick-fil-A has been testing and teasing with the first ever CarPlay app, and now the day has finally come where you can officially place your favorite Chick-fil-A order with nothing but CarPlay. So I guess you pick the location, you go on there, and you can order it through there, and then you can go through the drive-through, you can go in and pick it up, or they can bring it out to you, however it works. But it says one big limitation to the CarPlay app, however, is that you can't pursue the full menu. Instead, you can only repeat a recent order or choose from your saved favorites, which is kind of weird to me. Why wouldn't you have the whole menu in there? So I guess you have to kind of go in on your phone, look at the menu, and then you can order, or you have to maybe order once or twice your favorites, and then you can order through this. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But at the end of the day, they're moving in the right direction. I'm sure that'll be updated soon. Why they launched without that, I have no idea. But still, it's there. Chick-fil-A for CarPlay is a real thing. Okay, so we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and it's actually going to be a law now, and they've actually passed it. So look over here, Apple Insider. FTC click to cancel rule makes canceling subscriptions as easy as starting them. So if we go down here, subscriptions are getting much easier to manage thanks to this new FTC click to cancel rule that blocks companies from deceptive or malicious tactics. It basically states that canceling a subscription has to be as easy as signing up for it, either with like a 1 or 2 click option to cancel it right out. They can't hide anything on you any longer. And so the article goes on to say that it's actually going to be, it's signed, and I think it's going to take like 180 days before it goes live. Why do they wait 180 days? I have no idea, but they are. But still, at least they've passed it. And I talked about this only being for California, but it looks like it's going to be for the nation now, which is pretty interesting. So keep an eye open for this. Finally, we'll be able to cancel things easily. And especially with Apple stuff, right? They always leave things behind or do stupid stuff. Well, a couple cool things here. Number one, a lot of your Apple devices can help catch the criminals now. Here's from Apple Insider. Crime blotter. Ferrari thief busted by AirPods, Oklahoma. So we'll get to these other ones, but actually we'll skip the other ones. Let's just go to this one. It says left behind AirPods and iPhone catch Ferrari thief. So a car thief in Connecticut who stole almost a $600,000 Ferrari, but was caught after the owner left a pair of AirPods in the car, which police tracked to the gas station. According to WFSB, one of the thieves then fled the car, but left his iPhone behind. The 22-year-old man was arrested. Here we go again. This time, they got him by the AirPods, actually. They actually were able to track where the location was. So that actually saved them. But we always laugh about this because the people always leave their phones there. Why do they keep dropping their phones at the scene? I mean, it just seems like you wouldn't even want to bring, if you were going to rob something or do something, right, and they can track you in a phone, wouldn't you just leave your phone at your house? I mean, you see these things like on Dateline and stuff where someone murders somebody, they go out, and then they have their phone on them. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Are people this stupid? Not that I'm, saying you should do this, but I'm just thinking, like, if I was a criminal, I would at least think that's the least I would do. Okay, so we just talked about the iPad mini 7th gen, right? And if you should pick that up for $499, some people love it, some people hate it. But some alternatives to that you have to really consider. So here's from Apple Refurbished. This is the refurbished iPad Air 64 gigabyte, only, it's a little bit less, but 5th generation right here. This is the blue version with, connectivity Wi-Fi. So it does have Wi-Fi. So if you scroll down here, look at this. It's a 10.9 inch. It's a little bit bigger, but you get the M1 chip and the same amount of RAM. So you get a faster chip, 8 gigs of RAM. And it looks like, the Wi-Fi is in there. Obviously, I guess that comes with everything, right? But I believe obviously it's going to just be a better overall device, right? It's going to be $50 cheaper. So you're going to have to weigh these two options. I know the mini is like the form factor people buy it for, but you'd have to at least consider this because it's just a better cost. And obviously, this is Apple Refurbished, but it's going to basically be new, if not new. And I just think that's one you have to consider. And then finally over here, the other one that you might want to consider if you're just you don't want to spend an extra $100 and you don't need all of the extra space. Here's one right now on Best Buy. It's the Apple iPad mini. This is the 6th gen, last generation, 64 gigs. Now it's at $399, so you save $100 there. And really the only difference is, I guess there's some big differences with this one because you wouldn't get Apple Intelligence, you get less space, and you get less RAM. But if you're on an extreme budget, you want to at least consider this. I think this has to go down to this has to go down to like $329 before I'd actually consider it, maybe, or even $299. I don't know if I'd get it at $399, but I just figured I'd throw it in there as an option. So, all right, we're going to wrap up this week. Happy October. And we do this every week. I mean, I miss a week every once in a while if I'm traveling or something, but I try to do this every week or at least every other week for sure, the Apple News. So join the community, subscribe if you can. It's all about having fun on the weekends. That's why I'm drinking a beer here. But we have fun on the weekends, and then I go back to my normal stuff on like Mondays or Wednesdays or Thursdays, and I have a couple of videos strewn in there as well. So we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.